My wife called me at work and said she had inherited millions. She told me to pack my things and get out of my own house. I did not argue. I did not shout. I smiled because I already knew. My name is Daniel Crow I am 54 years old. And for most of my life, I believed loyalty was enough to keep a marriage alive. I was wrong. I own a small industrial fabrication company in Western Pennsylvania Nothing flashy. No headlines. Just steel all grease and long hours. For 31 years, I built precision components for factories that never sleep. You learn discipline in places like that. You learn patience. You learn that if you rush the process, you destroy everything. I wish I had learned the same lesson about people. The call came in at 11 p.m. I remember because I was calibrating a milling machine and had to stop mid-adjustment. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I expected a supplier or my foreman. Instead, I saw Laura my wife of 26 years. I stepped away from the noise and answered. Hey, I said. What's going on? There was a pause. Then her voice. Sharp, controlled, satisfied. Daniel, she said. I just inherited everything. I waited. No greeting. No emotion. Just silence and power. My Uncle Victor finally passed. The estate cleared this morning. It's mine. I could hear her smile through the phone. Then she said it. Pack your things and get out of my house. I want you gone by tonight. The shop kept running behind me. Machines did not care that my marriage just collapsed. I asked calmly, what are you talking about? She laughed, not nervously, not bitterly, confident. I don't need you anymore. I never really did. The call ended. I stood there holding the phone, feeling something strange. Not fear, not shock, relief. Because 2 weeks earlier, I had received a very different call. Victor Hale, her uncle, the man she barely visited, the man she only remembered when money was involved. He called me from hospice. His voice was weak, but his mind was clear. Daniel, he said, I need to warn you. When Laura finds out about the inheritance, she is going to show you who she really is. I asked him what he meant. He told me. I saw what she did to her first husband. I saw how she treats people once they stop being useful. There are protections in the will, but only if you stay calm. Document everything and do not react emotionally. Then he said something that stayed with me. Money doesn't change people. It unmasks them. So when Laura told me to leave, I didn't panic. I followed instructions. I left work early, drove home slowly, letting her think she was in control. When I pulled into the driveway, every light in the house was on. Inside, she stood waiting, dressed like she was closing a deal. On the table were papers, neatly stacked. Too neat. Divorce documents, unsigned, unfiled. Intimidation on expensive paper. Sign, she said. Then go. I looked at her. Really looked. The woman I built a life with. The woman who once cried when I worked late. Now staring at me like a stranger. I signed every page. Then I took pictures of everything. She noticed. And her smile cracked for half a second. What are you doing? She asked. Documenting, I said. I packed one bag. Clothes, documents, laptop. At the door, I turned back. Good luck, Laura, I said. She thought she had one. She had no idea. The game had already started. I did not go to a friend's house. I did not go to family. I went somewhere quiet. A roadside hotel just off the interstate. The kind with security cameras, coffee that tastes like regret, and no questions. I needed space. I needed time. And most of all, I needed proof. Because when someone thinks they have one, they get careless. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my laptop. The room smelled like disinfectant and old carpet. It was perfect. Victor's words echoed in my head. Document everything. Laura had always handled the household finances. She said numbers stressed me out. She was right in a way, but not how she thought. I logged into our joint bank account. Same password we had used for years. Our anniversary and her birthday combined. She never changed it. People who think they are smarter than everyone else rarely do. At first, everything looked normal. Mortgage, utilities, groceries. Then I scrolled back. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. That was when I saw it. Small transfers, consistent, quiet, 500, 700, sometimes 2,000. Always to the same external account. A name I recognized immediately. Marilyn Holt, her mother. My chest tightened. Not from shock, from confirmation. I exported the transaction history and opened a spreadsheet. Line by line, date by date. 7 years. 7 years of money leaving our account. Money I earned. Money meant for our future. I added it up slowly, carefully. $241,000. She did not steal once. She siphoned. That is not impulse. That is planning. I took screenshots of everything, including account numbers and timestamps. Then I checked the credit cards. Same pattern. Luxury purchases, travel, furniture I had never seen, all billed under household expenses. She had been funding a life I did not live. Then I found something worse. An email notification buried in spam. 3 days old. Health insurance change request. Primary policyholder requested removal of spouse effective immediately. My name. Removed. I stared at the screen, feeling my pulse in my ears. I have type 2 diabetes. Medication monthly. Without insurance, it is crippling. She knew that. She had sat next to me in every doctor's appointment. She tried to cut my medical access before telling me to leave. That was not divorce. That was attempted destruction. I saved everything. Then I opened my phone. Messages from Laura. Unread. You think you can fight this? I have lawyers. You always were weak. This is my time now. I took screenshots. Every word. Then I sent one message. All communication will go through my attorney. Her reply came instantly. You can't afford one. I smiled. She had no idea. Because Victor had not just left money. He had left leverage. That night my oldest daughter called, her voice shaking. Mom says you abandoned her, that you couldn't handle her success. I chose my words carefully. I did not abandon anyone. I was told to leave. There was silence. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. Mom promised to pay my tuition once the inheritance clears. She was already buying loyalty. I said nothing bad about Laura. I did not need to. Truth does its own work. After the call, I opened a new folder on my laptop. Title, Evidence, Inside, Bank Theft, Insurance Cancellation, Fraudulent Divorce Papers, Threatening Messages. Then one more file. Victor Hale will summary. Because tomorrow, everything would change. I barely slept that night. Not from fear, from clarity. When someone shows you who they are, there is a strange peace in finally believing them. The next morning, I put on a clean shirt. Not a suit, not armor, just myself. At 9:00 a.m., I walked into the probate building downtown. Gray walls, old clocks, the kind of place where truth eventually catches up. Laura was already there. She stood near the window dressed sharp, confident, like someone who believed the world was finally tilting her way. She did not look at me. She did not have to. In her mind, I was already erased. The clerk called us in. The room was small. One long table, 3 chairs, one file thick enough to tell a story on its own. The probate officer introduced herself. Calm, measured eyes, the kind that had seen greed more times than she could count. She opened the folder. The estate of Victor Hale, she began, has several conditions that must be addressed before any assets are released. Laura leaned back, relaxed. Primary beneficiary Laura Hale. Total estimated value 1.4 million. I saw her jaw tighten into a smile. Then the tone shifted. However, the estate is placed into a temporary trust for 18 months. Laura straightened. Any asset sale, withdrawal, or transfer requires approval from the compliance observer. She looked confused. Observer Daniel Crow. The room went quiet. Laura turned toward me slowly, her eyes wide. What is this, she demanded. The probate officer continued. Mr. Hale specified that Mr. Crow is to oversee compliance due to concerns of financial misuse and marital displacement. Laura laughed sharply. That is absurd. He has no right. The officer did not react. Mr. Hale also included a contingency clause. If the beneficiary attempts to remove a spouse from shared property without due process or attempts to manipulate dependent family members through financial coercion, the trust freezes. Laura stood up. This is a mistake. At that moment, my phone vibrated. A text. Unknown number. Daniel, this is Grant Keller. Your wife listed your home for sale last night. A buyer has submitted a deposit and wants to finalize today. I felt Tom's hand touch my arm. I showed the screen to the officer. She read it carefully. This hearing is adjourned, she said, pending investigation into unauthorized asset representation. Laura looked like the floor had disappeared. In the hallway, she finally spoke to me. You planned this. I shook my head. You did. She stormed out. 2 hours later, I sat in a real estate office across from a man who looked like authority made flesh. The buyer, a retired federal judge. He listened, asked questions, then stood. Your wife misrepresented ownership. I will be withdrawing and filing a report. The deposit would be returned. No lawsuit, just documentation. Laura had burned a bridge she didn't even see. That evening, my younger daughter sent me a recording. She had visited Laura, asked questions, recorded everything. In Laura's voice, cold, casual. I planned this for years. Your father was too stupid to notice. Money controls everything. I sent it to my attorney. Ohio is one-party consent. It was admissible. By morning, both my daughters knew the truth, and Laura knew something was wrong, because control only works until it doesn't. I woke before sunrise. The hotel room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner and the distant traffic. I did not sleep. I had no desire to. Control had shifted. The game had changed, and the first held the pieces. I opened my laptop. Every screenshot, every bank transfer, every fraudulent insurance email, every threatening message from Laura, every recording from my daughters. I organized them meticulously, chronologically, the story laid bare. Then I drafted an email. Subject line simple. Evidence of financial fraud and coercion. Attachments included. Spreadsheet, screenshots, audio recordings. Sent to my attorney, Tom. He called immediately. We need a plan, he said. We are moving fast. By mid-morning, I left the hotel. I drove slowly, careful. The shop was my fortress, my base of operations. I needed all documentation in hand, all files backed up, every angle covered. Tom arrived. We went through everything again, every transaction, every email, every threat. He nodded slowly. The evidence was airtight. Next step, the public record. Not to humiliate, not for revenge, for protection, for justice. By late afternoon, news outlets had copies. Headline careful but clear. Financial misconduct and coercion allegations against local resident and primary beneficiary. Laura's name. Attached. Photographs. Public records. The recordings of her scheming. She had miscalculated. She had thought her control absolute, her power total. She did not see the network she was walking into. By evening, the calls started. Daughters calling, friends, family, even the probate office, all verifying facts, all confirming. Laura's facade cracked. A television interview. Forced? She could not deny. Evidence overwhelming. Her words recorded. Her actions documented. I watched the news from the office. Laptop open. Bank files displayed. Insurance documents. All lining up. Her world collapsed. Quietly. Efficiently. Not with screams. Not with chaos. But with the unstoppable weight of proof. That night, my daughters came over. Mia and Emily, both 23 and 19. Eyes clear, hearts stronger than any inheritance could buy. We sat at the dining table, not arguing, not crying, just planning. We would rebuild. We would secure the assets, protect the family. Nothing would be hidden. Nothing would be lost. And Laura, she would learn that greed is not victory. That manipulation is not power. That betrayal has consequences. The estate frozen. The house untouched. The daughters aware. The community informed. I closed my laptop, leaning back in the chair. The sun had set, casting long shadows across the room. Finally, I allowed myself a deep breath, a small smile. Not satisfaction, not revenge, clarity. The storm had passed. I had survived. And in the quiet, I realized true power was never about money or control. It was about foresight, precision, and the patience to let the truth do its work. The house would remain mine, the inheritance intact. And Laura, she had nothing left except the lesson she had spent years trying to avoid. I poured a glass of water, sat back, and finally felt free.